handloom expert Amitra Sudan Saha, and sustainable fashion designer Meghna Nayak talk responsible lifestyle choices with our moderator Ruchira. Minku Tagore is an interior designer living in Santiniketan who keeps nature at the heart of her work. An alumni of Kala Bhavana, she works with organic materials and focuses on sustainability. She has built the luxury Bed and Breakfast Amoli on these principles. As a designer, she also provides a space for other artists and craftsmen who work with organic and natural materials. Amitra Sudan Saha considers himself a change agent and a collaborator at Ssahaworks. Ssahaworks is a design-led enterprise which works with various clusters and communities. He has been a design consultant to organizations like SRLM Government of Sikkim, Rural Craft Hub for Government of West Bengal, Asian Heritage Foundation and Rajeev Sethi Scenogarpher, World Bank, Indian Institution of Craft and Design, SASHA Kolkata and Craft Council of West Bengal on various projects. His trust, Sonar Bangla Surakha Trust, has helped village-level communities to increase their individual family income. Studio S. Ssaha is a grassroots creative to increase their to increase the laboratory that endeavors to document and promote the vast vocabulary of traditional knowledge. S. Ssaha is the home brand primarily dealing with textiles. The current project Gunavalli is a collection dedicated to hand-spun yarns, an attempt to revisit the relevance of hand spinning in India today. The collection features saris, stoles and yardage and showcases the finest muslin Jamdanis being made today. Meghna Nayak is the founder of Lata Sita, a pioneering design studio creating zero waste and ethically produced fashion using a closed-loop supply chain. Lata Sita champions the circular economy with a focus on using old, unused, wasted or discarded fabric. Nayak's work has been exhibited in Taiwan, Stockholm, England, Kenya, Vietnam and Sri Lanka. She was one of the 3 winners of the Scroll in Eco India contest and featured in Deutschwelle's Eco India show which aired on TV across Europe in 2019 and is available to watch online. In 2021, Lata Sita was invited to Lakme India Fashion Week to participate in the Circular Design Challenge on Sustainable Fashion Day. Ruchira began her work live at Spike Mackay, Delhi, coordinating several events ranging from leg temps at schools to overnight concerts and national conventions. She served as the secretary of the National Advisory Board for 2 years. She helped in setting up and reviving chapters in North Karnataka and Kerala and organizing several fundraising concerts in Bangalore. From 2009 to 2013, she was program and publicity coordinator at Ranan.
This is a very long and old bio.
Doesn't
Sorry.
matter. Everyone needs to know how elevated you are. And this, by the way, is edited by me. So.
Oh gosh.
Ran a dance theatre collective and was the festival manager for Rabindra Utsav, a national festival of music, dance and theatre. In 2013, she founded Think Arts for Children. Ruchira also works as an independent consultant and has designed activity trails for young visitors at museums, led workshops for teachers, facilitated participatory art projects with young people and created Dreamscape, a sensorial exhibition for toddlers. In September 2018, she took up the role of Deputy Director, Art Think South Asia. She is also the tutor for strategic planning in the arts. Since July 2020, Ruchira is the Artistic Director of Artshila, in charge of programming at their multi-art centers currently running in Ahmedabad, Santiniketan and coming up soon in Delhi and Patna. We would now like to invite our speakers to begin the session.
Meghna's almost
Okay. So should we just wait?
No, I think we'll start.
We'll start?
Okay. Otherwise, then delay the next time. 3:15. Shouldn't everybody go on stage?
Yeah,
Amitra,
yes.
We can do the last one for Meghna. Yes, okay.
So when I received this mail from Anju, I was delighted because I'm among friends, people whose work I like, people who I have been in contact with off stage. So this is lovely. Thank you so much for inviting me for this, and how wonderful to be sharing the stage with both of you. While we wait for Meghna, we'll sort of start with maybe sharing your journey a little bit in talking to us about how it began, where did the idea come from, and how has it been, and just letting us all know. And both of you can start.
Meghna start.
Okay.
Come, please, just join them. You just have to step over the wires. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Just in time, please. সবাই শুনতে পাচ্ছেন তো?
So, for me, the journey to Santiniketan was homecoming. I went to Kala Bhavana here, and after I finished, we left the city, left Santiniketan, traveled a lot, and then because my mother didn't want to move in with us wherever we were, we took the decision to move back to Santiniketan. And when we moved here, we had to do something that would mean something, that would have a presence,
You
something
can use
to
the
keep
mics.
us occupied
You can use the
with.
mics.
Can you hear me?
I think use the mic, it's better.
Yeah. Okay. It is. Okay. So it was all about coming back and doing something meaningful. Is it or isn't it? That's it.
Sounded low.
Hello?
Ache?
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? You can continue. Okay. So that's when we came back. So we had to think of something that we would do to make something meaningful, which meant me, the people around me, and of course the community. So we thought of having a little cafeteria, a homestay that would blend into Santiniketan. Because my parents lived here, we would keep coming every now and then. And the landscape of Santiniketan was changing very fast. It was not the Santiniketan we grew up in. There were pink houses, blue houses, yellow houses, horrible houses. I shouldn't be saying it, but it's true. We had glass and chrome in Santiniketan. And it was extremely painful because that's not what we grew up watching. So we had to make a difference. So that, and I was working as an interior designer in Bombay before we moved here, and my whole idea of designing homes was to use natural products. So we've been doing that for a long time, which was basically reusing old furniture, using old saris to use as curtains, weaving foot mats out of saris. So we were doing that for a long time. The biggest challenge that I faced then was people wanted whatever was there new in the market. The biggest problem today, I think, is self-awareness. If that is something we can deal with, the entire thing changes. But a lot of people are moving towards that, but there are a lot of people who still need convincing. So that's how it all started, and then we moved to Santiniketan and I built Amoli, and it has been an extremely nice journey because we employ local people. We have not imported people from anywhere to come and work with us. And we have started working at the grassroots level in terms of being sustainable. So that has been our biggest challenge. We are facing it, we are working on it, and I'm sure very soon we'll have many more people doing the same. So that's about us in a nutshell.
We are just sort of, I just requested everyone to share a little bit about their journey and how far in this space of sustainability.
Are none of the other mics working?
No, I don't think so.
It is working.
So maybe Ruchira can keep one since she wants to keep.
Hello. So hi, I'm Meghna, and to be honest, my first actual exposure to sustainability or alternative lifestyles, etc., happened when I was at university studying journalism. And this is also around the time that I learned about the enormous and kind of unjustified cost of the fashion industry as well. And 10-15 years ago, this was a shock, you know, and I wanted to get into environmental journalism. But I reached a point where I really did feel that what I'm writing is mostly fluff and, you know, is anybody reading it, and if so, is it having any impact at all? So I thought instead of writing about sustainability, criticizing others' business practices, etc., why not try and do something oneself and see what the pitfalls and challenges are of, you know, running a sustainable company. What does that even mean, you know? So that's how while I was writing for the Telegraph in Calcutta, I wanted to make clothes because why clothes? I always loved design. I'd been modifying my clothes since I was a teenager, altering, adding pockets, changing shapes. So this is what was kind of going on in my mind while I had a few other jobs. And the all-important question, raw material, what should it be? So I was thinking of, I was doing my research, organic cotton, handloom, etc. And naturally, you know, any material that I came across has some sort of an imprint or the other. And it was around this time that my mum opened her cupboard to me. And mom's quite a frugal person, one cupboard, she doesn't like buy a lot, etc. But she took a few old saris out and said, why don't you use these? And inside that one small cupboard were like stacks and stacks of saris. And it was literally a tactile like experience. It was like an aha moment where I knew this is the raw material. And not just this, but any old fabric. And if my mum, who barely buys anything, has this is a local resource that can be used, you know. Every woman would have this. And it's easily available. So this is how it's been over 12 years now that I started Lada Sita, making clothes purely out of old materials, which includes bed covers, curtains, even puja pandals we have bought and, you know, made into clothing. So that's how I kind of got into this, with the aspirations of being an environmental journalist to 12 years of now making clothes from waste. And it's, I mean, if you think about, you were talking a little bit about using old saris as well. And yes, using weaving mats and things like that.
So what happened was, interior design was termed as a very expensive area of work. So people wouldn't employ interior designers because it was a very expensive thing. And thankfully, being in Bombay, we had a lot of young professionals who wanted to do up their homes, but they had budgets. They had small budgets. And for me, it was a challenge to fit into that budget. So I would ask them, like she said, we would ask them for old saris, old bed covers, what could we make out of it, patch them up together, weave them, and also because I was from Bengal, I could carry a lot of shola, which was not heavy. So I carried a lot of shola, talpata, so a lot of this, which was then not available in Bombay. I'm going back 15 years. So we would create lights out of this, and they looked phenomenal. And young kids, they loved changing the way they live. So it was very easy to do things. We would just clad walls with madur. We wouldn't use paint at all. We would just clad it with madur and have it there. So it was very easy. And people could kind of, you know, fit into it. It was a different look. So we did a lot of that as well to start with.
Talking about my journey, I would start rather from when I graduated from Indian Institute of Crafts and Design. From the school, we learned a certain way of designing, but it always kind of kept my mind lingering. Is it the right way of approach? So the whole idea about sustainability and all never came across our mind. Even today, the word sustainability is as simple as any other word. So what I did was something completely different from my batchmate. I packed my bag and traveled across India. Whatever opportunity I got, what if somebody said, I'm going to give you a staying and food, I used to go and work with them. So from Kanyakumari, Manna Madurai to south, to right to, I'm forgetting the name, in Kerala, and then Kashmir, and then Gujarat, Maharashtra, wherever I got, I stayed with the tribals, trying to understand what is the way, what is the approach to design. And if you see, look at a craft product, a textile product, it's always about sustainability. They always have to think what is the best way to keep the cost in check. So that's how I think we learn the process, and that's how I still practice whatever I do. And that's how Rajeev, Sethi offered me a job, and I said that I can only work as a consultant, I can't take your job. So I worked for him for 7 years. We did lots of wonderful projects from Adani House and the Bombay airport and all.
To think if we were going for a wedding that you had to wear gold or a Banarasi or whatever, you could look good with whatever you had. And that was our way of life. When he said sustainability is a big word today, but that has always stayed with us. But what has happened now is, there was a period of time when people were not into village crafts. It was dying. And they didn't have the money to sustain. So I personally know this gentleman who works with Talpata. He has a son who refuses to learn it because there's no money in it. And he works for a plastic toy factory in Patna. And we've been trying with Lipi, we've been trying to convince him to come back and take it on. We will give him work. We will give him designs. So what has happened also, I think, they have not evolved in products. So the products are pretty much the same. And we do not have too many people who are intervening with the product design. And hence, how many Talpata Shipais will you buy? Okay, they're cheap. And how does a family of 6 or 8 sustain with 100 Talpata Shipais bought in a month? So we have to intervene there, where we tell them what they need to do, and then I'm sure they will go to it. Because now, like you said, there is a fad, so a lot of people are jumping the bandwagon, which is good. Kids especially, I think when we talk about a lot of kids these days, that they're very brash, they're very different, but they're actually not. They have a heart, they have a soul. They are giving back to the earth in a bigger way than we are, I think. So yeah.
Hi. So to your point, Ruchira, I think that yes, all of you, as you said now, everybody is using these words: sustainability, upcycled, green. So it's and it's just something that in a way that's actually positive, because maybe 10 years ago people weren't even, they wouldn't even buy something that if they know someone else has worn it or it's made from old cloth. I've had so much, there's a lot of aspiration attached to new. So all of this is there, but now upcycled has become like a fad. So there's a lot of, there's no regulations in place. But at the end of the day, I've seen, not to be cynical or anything, but I assumed when I started Lata Sita that my clients would be mostly people who just care about the environment. But actually people just want to look good. And if something makes them look good, they'll buy that. It's as simple as that. you can't, it all depends on the end product being of like a good quality at the end of the day. People aren't going to buy something from you or subscribe to your service or call you to decorate their place just because it is sustainable. Though viewpoints have shifted a bit over the last few years, and especially now, it has. And the other thing is sustainability is, as we see it, is not accessible to everybody. In terms of price points, etc. The way it works in this gentrified world, it's not always accessible to everybody. So, yeah, that's my 2 points, my 2 bits there.
Yeah, I'm all for what you said, but I'm going to take one step backwards. When we say sustainability, I remember a craftsman telling me, and he said I think from Gita, that what you take from the environment is not sustainability, what you give to the environment is sustainability. And I think that kept in my mind. And I feel for us Indians, we have to look sustainability in a very, very different way. Right? Teaching our kids not to waste food is the first step of sustainability. And then you slowly tell them to reuse their dress. So that's how, and then you tell them what is the price, and then tell them how it's been made. I think that is the first step of sustainability, because we can't teach sustainability with just a click of button and everything changes. It has to start from now. We have to feed our children, we have to tell them, we have to tell stories, we have to tell them about Mahabharata, Ramayana, and tell them old stories. And there were several wonderful stories, like how Draupadi's saris came one after another, and there's so many wonderful stories which talks about sustainability. I think that's how it has to start from there. And what she said is obviously right, you have to look good. Ultimately, it's a business of glamour. It's a business of how you look, how you live. Ultimately, it boils down to that. But before that, I think it has to start, the sensibilities has to be triggered so that they start looking at things in a different way.
Thank you so much, and I'm glad you spoke about children. You know my weak spot. I think I can't agree more that we have to start at home, at school. For example, I've been at events which are talking about crafts and sustainability, and they have a flex banner. They have plastic Kinley bottles. So then you wonder, who's really thinking and putting together this event, and which is why I think kudos to all of you. This is such a beautiful example of how you can create something beautiful that looks good, and yet we have glass bottles and terracotta cups and jute and bamboo and cloth decoration. So I think this is probably where we need to head towards, and I think that will happen with children and the youth. And I was very happy to hear that you spoke about your first dabbling with reusing as a teenager trying to cut up clothes and make them and I think that if we can bring in that sort of understanding with the young people, probably there's a better hope. They are the hope for a greener future. You also touched upon all of you in some ways touched upon enabling the artisans, and truly what do you think is your take on where we have gone today, where we are today from say 30 years back? Truly has their position elevated from where they were, and where do you see the next steps in sort of it becoming better, in them also being recognized as teachers? I don't know how many children look at a craft stall and look at someone who's got a skill and a lot of learning and a lot of indigenous knowledge that they carry, and where do you see us in that conversation?
Sorry about my throat. I think, Ruchira, what we need to do is that we have to build confidence among our artisans. Right now, our artisans is lacking of confidence. They think that making cheaper is the way to sustain. It's not that. Making a good product is the way to sustain. So we have to make them believe that you are the best, not make them believe you are the worst. And by somehow it's going the other way around. Somehow it's other way around. We always try and see artisan and tell them, everybody, including me, that this is not the right, you have to make the prices correct. And we don't know what is the correct product actually. So I think it has to be the other way around. I don't know how it will happen, but we have to build confidence in our artisans, and they are the one who's going to show the way, not us.
How far are we from reaching?
We are way behind. Way behind. I mean, if you look at some of the examples in the museums, and we thought, wow, wonderful textile, wonderful armory, Damascus, whatever you see them, the colors and everything. What's happening? You just tell them, we need this. I believe in you. I trust you. You take your time and do. I'm sure they're going to do that. But we have to install confidence in them, and somehow we are not able to do that.
I think with confidence, we also have to tell them that they have to sharpen their skills.
Yeah.
They're looking for shortcuts.
And that is happening because we are encouraging them.
Absolutely. Cost.
They know everything. I mean, if you tell them I need the best and you have to give me the best,
And we will sell it for you.
yeah, I'll sell it for you. I'm sure they're going to do that.
That is what it is. We need intervention.
We need intervention.
We need intervention.
The other thing is our artisans aren't exactly protected. Like we have no regulations in India. So this is a huge problem where they're not protected by any laws, and big influential designers themselves are, sort of machine printing, ajrak, block prints, ikat, etc. And this has become the trend, and a lot of this cloth is just made in factories in very bad conditions in China, etc. And this is a plague. Everything from chicken curry to ikat is being printed. And to Katha, I saw the other day, Katha print, and it looks, from far, like so. But there's no laws in place to protect them and to stop anyone from doing this in big companies. So that's a,
And social media, I'm telling
That's
you,
quite
this is
important.
it's a demon. Social media and this e-commerce, it's a demon. They're selling khadi for 800. It's impossible. And nobody's questioning them. I won't name a brand, but they have become one of the biggest brand, and they're saying that they do handloom and they're sustainable. Where most of the products, I know it's made in Hobipur and Shantipur, and I get hundreds of pictures from there. So you please sell. I said I'm not going to sell all those things. And that brand has become huge, and their hashtag sustainability, hashtag handloom, and that's the biggest demon. And there is no check. There is no check. The sorrow part is there is no check, and people who knows that this is live-in people who knows, but there are aspirational brands who look up to those brands, and they will believe if they are doing, why can't we? And that is what is going to kind of.
I think that's where law comes in. There has to be certain laws that we go by.
because this has long-lasting effects. Because what these folks are able to offer as well is a much cheaper price. Whereas handloom cannot be made. It has that respect for a handmade product. That this is, that understanding that this is it takes a certain amount of time and this is the value we allocate to it. That's gone. That correlation is gone when you're getting it for so cheap and it's not the real product.
Exactly. I think I remember once shopping in London, and we went to something fancy, but truly it was in London. I was with my little kids, and we were at this, I won't name the brand, but this shop which my cousin said you get really cheap clothes there, and you must buy. And I didn't. It is okay. So my daughter asked me, aren't we going to go there? And I told her that, she was young, she was homeschooled, so I had my duty as a teacher. And I remember saying that, when you're buying something that's very cheap, then it's either poor quality or there's some exploitation somewhere down the line, And I think that awareness is something that's it's so lovely that now it's become a part of how they look at things. They're not going for the cheapest. They'll probably use less if they have a budget. They'll use less of something rather than go for the cheaper. And I think that kind of education, if we can sort of bring in, then people will also be ready to pay that extra money, and they won't go for that cheap 800 takar handloom, because they know that there's no way this could have been created at that cost. So I think we have some time to take questions, and I can see a lot of interest people in the audience, so we can take a couple of questions if you'd like to ask, and do say who you're asking to, or if it's for everyone. Is there a mic that we can?
Yeah.
There's a
It's working, it's working.
do you want this mic? Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Side or hand
There's a question and there's a comment. I'll start with a comment. I've been living in Santiniketan for the past 30-40 years, and you're all aware that Tagore started Santiniketan with the idea of having crafts side by side with agriculture, because Tagore knew that agriculture wasn't going to be enough, and there was going to be an added income from crafts. And there was this very Ratinnath's wife started a boutique, and you know the history of Santiniketan. If you don't, there are books on it. Now I'm wondering whether the little bit of rarefied discussion I heard, I'm sorry, I'm sure in your own way you're all doing your contribution to craftspeople. Are we looking at it? Shall we look at it slightly differently? I'll just give an example of Vishnu, of this village near Gushkara which has Dokra. Doriapur, thank you. Doriapur I've been visiting, and there are orders for, the Crafts Council has worked with Doriapur, they have given ideas for new things for Dokra and so on. However, the situation of the craftspeople has not changed at all, despite their income being increased. So how about looking at it as craftspeople are also agriculturalists? Can we do something for sustainable agriculture alongside craft, so that the person who is doing the talpata, they'll never get enough orders for talpata, there won't be enough talpata.
There won't be enough talpata.
Yes,
That's true.
so can we do something for the talpata person alongside something for his sustainability? If you're working with the artisan directly, look at the artisan come farmer. This would be my request.
So I had to answer your question, ma'am. We started during COVID. We started a program called Pushti Bagan in Bankura. Have you heard or not? It's Pushti Bagan is nothing, a small garden.
I work on that area.
Yeah. So in Bankura there is this place called Chatna, where we there are some potters, then there's a weaver community. So what we said in COVID, we can't give you a lot of work, because they were not working directly with me, but we were trying to help them, trying to sell them. So we encouraged them to start a Pushti Bagan. And exactly what you are saying, and I'm so glad that you took this up, because I always encourage my viewers just not to rely on one thing. You should have 2-3 other options of earning.
Right.
So I'm so glad that you.
I'm very glad.
You are.
I'm very glad with your response.
Yeah, I want to touch on point. Is this right?
Yes.
Okay. One is Amitra Sudan had touched on sustainability and that being not an option with the artisans or the farmers or the weavers. But there are two kinds of sustainability. One is sustainability for food, shelter, health, education. That is like the financial side, sustainability. But there is another kind of sustainability which relates to polluting the environment. And there are many traditional crafts which are very polluting for the environment. And because they were done in small quantities before, it really did not affect. But now, things like dokra, pottery, and many other crafts, these two come to my mind because I'm very familiar with these two, but they are polluting. And we have a studio pottery near here at Daranda, and we have started to research about solar furnaces and things. It's very difficult to reach that temperature with that. So do you do a cash crop? You grow your wood and then burn it, go from oil to wood. So these are lots of questions which need debate and brainstorming, and also building awareness among the crafts and artisans, craftspeople and artisans. So that was one thing. Another thing is about parampara. I think there are very few nowadays where the children aspire to be working so hard in a hot, humid environment and doing what their fathers did or other people in the family did. So probably you have to draw in other people who are talented into these older generation of craftspeople and weavers to learn from them and maybe start their own parampara. I would like to give an example of Jyotish Devnas, who is so celebrated, and I think he first worked with Rubipal Chaudhary of Crafts Council of West Bengal, and I think Rubidi helped him to get a loom. Somebody, some foreigner donated the money for a loom, and that's how he got his first loom in Kalna, which was not the first loom, but something which is of a higher grade. And today he is, top of the ladder. I think he is not only, it's ridiculous to talk about poverty line with him. He is now upper middle class, but his son is graduated and had some formal education. But he is not interested in sitting at the loom. He has marketed it. He's hobnobs with the elitists. In fact, he doesn't even give patta to people like us because he has so many more clients in Delhi, Bombay, celebrities, and his saris are selling for 65,000, 75,000, more than 1 lakh. Okay, but he himself doesn't know how to do the Jamdani. And he doesn't have that passion and he doesn't have the pride. But he has a business brain and he has elevated his family to several rungs of that ladder. But his father, I met his father I think a week back somewhere, and he was so delighted to see me. He said, Didi, আপনার সাথে কতদিন পরে দেখা হলো জানেন তো আমি স্কুল করেছি আমি ট্রেন করছি মেয়েদের. Then he showed me saris which have been woven by women who he has trained. And he said, আপনাকে দেখে কত ভালো লাগলো, ক্রাফটস কাউন্সিল থেকে শুরু করেছিলাম, রুবিদি ভালো আছে, যাবো একটা, আপনি আসুন আমার বউ রান্না করে খাইয়ে দেবে, হ্যান ইত্যাদি। হ্যাঁ, একটা খারাপ হলো, ছেলে একটু ঝগড়া করে ফেললো রুবিদির সাথে। হ্যাঁ, মানে this is the difference. His son does not give that respect to Rubipal Chaudhary, who is like a stalwart in all over India and things. He does not respect that his father got a lot of stuff from the Crafts Council. But his father is lingering with that memory, that nostalgia and that passion. So here, his son is not learning to weave, but he's teaching a lot of other people to weave, and maybe they will train more people and take on. So probably that parampara is going to change. It's not going to be 4th generation craftsmen, but it will be new who will be starting their own line. Thank you. Thanks.
He wants to ask.
Oh, sure. I think 2 more questions.
Yeah, I think.
Thank you. It's
Just
or maybe you can just hear
Yeah.
me. Yeah, it's a general question. Ruchira mentioned very correctly that when we were young, we never threw away stuff. And that's because our parents also didn't throw away stuff. Nowadays, children are not that sustainable to say. They throw away stuff because their parents, we often do the same thing. For example, I'll confess, I do not remember when was the last time I bought a refill for a pen. We use pens, we throw them away nowadays. Now this is a change that happened in India over the last 2 decades, maybe in the last 20 years. But this is not the only change that happened. In the last 2 decades in India, people's buying power it has gone up. The great Indian middle class earns more, saves more, spends more. So do you think there is a correlation between this upward financial mobility and the disinterest towards the sustainable practices?
Can I add a little bit to what the gentleman said? So the idea about the purchase power is of course very correct in my opinion, because an intrinsic change in the market, we look at post 40s, we're looking at a huge crowd who have come from the partition, who genuinely need to use every scrap that they can use. We go previous and previous onto history and we will find how localized the economy was, and therefore there was a need to recycle every kind of resource that you had. Suddenly after 2000s you have simultaneously the rise of what people call sustainability, but also this great purchasing power that we have. And I think a good example of this would be, we did a study while we were in Delhi in Sarojini Nagar market that like with its climb into fame with social media being the place to be for thrifting and so forth, we found a crowd of Ladakhi women who would come down in summers and who would buy, based on their small notebooks, order for the entire village clothes that they can afford and take it back. Now with the crowd who have the large purchasing power suddenly coming in and saying that like, you know, we can buy this for 200 rupees, we will not bargain, the shopkeepers have upped their prices, which leaves the women who come probably journeying 3 days, 4 days, changing buses, trains and everything, they have to go somewhere else. Their practice was innately more sustainable than what has become of it.
Yeah, can I?
Yeah, please.
So my take is that though sustainability is a word what we are looking at, but there are pros and cons of sustainability. The bad side of sustainability is that in the name of sustainability we are still buying. And if we are still buying, so we are again piling up. And if you are piling up, then it's again becomes the same story. So the idea is to understand sustainability in a very easier way. And that's how things will move. Like Europe has become a dump yard of clothes. And people who didn't believe like 5 years back about sustainability now wants to be a part of sustainability, and the reason they want to be part of sustainability because it's now become a mandate. There's a law that is coming up. I think by next year there's a law that will come up that each product, a green product, has to have certain thing, and if you buy it has a sustainable logo. Now they are now starting to believe in this idea that we want to be sustainable. But if you look at Asia, Southeast Asia, it's not like that. Our idea is not like that. We still share our food. We still share our clothes. So sustainability from our sense, the way we look at it, and sustainability at what other people look at it, it's completely different. So we have to find, in sitting here in Bengal, we have to find our own meaning of sustainability. And it cannot be defined by only one conversation. We have to, in our own way, will look within. How much do we need to buy? How much do we need to spend? What is the right way of doing it? That will come from within. I mean, we can discuss more, we will have to talk to other people, and that's how we will develop. India has always evolved. It never took anything from just, it can't be imported. We always kind of evolved from one thing, we took something and we left something, we took something, we left something. That's the beauty of India. So we as a country, we as a people will develop our own idea of sustainability. That's I believe in. I think that's the way it will work. You want to add anything to it?
That's okay. Can you take one last question?
It's a more philosophical question. In the philosophy of fashion, there is a question whether fashion is a means of communication or art or whatever it may be. And twice it has been said that, you know, people buy if it's more beautiful, you know, that's the main incentive for it. So my question would be, if we understand fashion not only from that way, or coming from Europe, you know, as a means of our own symbols that show our status in society, must we not also find a way, again, to make fashion a part of our own expression and therefore change ourselves in a way that we maybe see ourselves more as, you know, people who are part of the environment? And if I see myself in that way, and also my fashion as an expression of my own personality, of my own life, would be more environmentally friendly. So what I'm thinking about is that we don't maybe only need a change from the exterior through incentives, through the market, but maybe also from the inside. Do you believe so? And if so, how can we achieve that?
Exactly what I just explained. That we have to evolve from within. You can't just force the word sustainability, and you have to evolve. The way you eat, the way you sleep, the way you what you wear. Yeah, you travel. The things that it's touching your body, you have to evolve. It is, we can't just, I don't know how to put it. I mean, we just can't, like what I'm wearing, I know it's sustainable because it's all.
Consumer behavior is one of the hardest behaviors to change in the world. You know, everyone's trying to do that. So at least in my little way, what I've found through my work is the way that I could do that was by establishing an emotional connection. So people have an emotional connection with old fabric, with old saris. When they bring in their own old saris, what they bought with their first paycheck, or what their husband bought them when they were dating, or whatever the story behind that may be. But one can use emotion to try and change that consumer behavior. That's the only insight I can offer you. Other than that, it's very hard to actually